Hey, what's up everybody? How you doing? Today is a wonderful day, don't you think? I think so. Well, I wanted to make a video today before it got dark about mindfulness and what it means to be mindful. This is something that I've been really focusing my effort on, trying to be more mindful of what I leave, what I do. You know, the things that, like, you know, I always think, when I think about mindfulness, I always think about my little brother, and so an example of being mindful would be, you come in and you make a sandwich, you get in the fridge, got my sandwich, got my mayonnaise, you leave the mayonnaise out, you leave the butter knife out, and then you go down to my room and you tear up everything, you know, you make a big mess, you get my iPad out and all kinds of stuff, and then you make my bed. You know, you think that's good though, but my room's a mess and there's mayonnaise out upstairs. So being mindful, and it's not that it's his fault, it's that he just doesn't have, he's not aware that he's a tornado when he leaves and when he goes. So he's like kind of innocent in a way, he's ignorant of what he's doing, but this whole thing of mindfulness, because it ties a lot into integrity and all these other videos that I've been making, and you know, it's also important to be mindful about like littering, and you know, I'm big on like not littering just because it's harder not to litter. You know, you got a candy bar, and what do you do with the wrapper? I'm just gonna toss it out the window, right? No, wrong. Because that's the easy thing to do, toss it out the window. It's easy to just get rid of it, but it's harder to hold on to it and be responsible and throw it away responsibly. But that responsibility is a whole nother topic, but it does tie into mindfulness if you think about it. So, you know, I learned this in chemistry this year, the ozone layer. So it's O2, oxygen, and just regular oxygen and O2, and they always react together and they produce a product called O3, and then the O3 breaks down into O2 and O, and it's a continuous cycle, and it just goes like this. And that's what the ozone is. That's what keeps the sunlight from being way more powerful than it already is. So it's really important. But I'm sure you've heard of the ozone layer and what we as humans are trying to stop doing, because it's, you know, the burning of fossil fuels and coal and stuff like that. And then, but it's just like the mindful part, just being mindful, because, you know, if you think about it in numbers, there's always, like, if you've taken any physics class, you know that anything that happens, there's always an effect. There's always something that's going to happen next, and it's very logical. It's a very, very logical way of thinking. So I want to talk about this because I believe it is important as the young generation, that my generation and the one beneath me, which I'm presuming is most of my viewers, most of you guys, you know, it's important to grow up and know that the world needs to be taken care of too. You know, you get taken care of, but the world needs to be taken care of too. It's just the way it is. So let me run through some stuff. So another example of mindfulness would be body language and how you appear to other people. And this came about a couple years back. I was rooming with a roommate in Bloomington, Indiana, and I wasn't aware of how my facial expressions would carry out, you know, through the day, you know, and I wasn't like thinking about like my face. You know, who thinks about their face all day? So, you know, like if I would have like if I was tired, you know, my face would be like this, and people might perceive that as you know, oh, that guy's mad, oh, he's mad at something, but it could be totally the opposite. I could be totally happy. I wasn't being mindful of what my facial expression matching my actual emotions. So that's another big one. That's especially if you want to keep good relationships, I've really found, because it's how you perceive, how people perceive you. And if you look into like psychology and stuff, that they say that the majority of our communication as humans isn't verbal. It's body language. It's your face. Your face can make so many different faces. I know that sounds funny, but it's true. So look into that. Also, just this whole idea. I just read this, and it's like, well, I've known about the idea, but I read it recently, that thoughts are just thoughts. That's what I read. It was, thoughts are just thoughts. You know, so when you slow down for a sec and you just realize that the thoughts that you're having at this current moment don't necessarily reflect your reality, and they're not exactly what your reality is. So therefore, they're two different things. There's like reality and then your thoughts. And if you can slow down enough to observe your thoughts instead of let them control you and you're subject to them, if you take this objective view and you look at the thoughts, your thoughts, and observe them like a scientist would. And this is a whole different way of thinking, because when you realize that thoughts are controlled, different areas of your life become better, and a lot of truth is found, you know, with up in this area. That's some deep stuff right there. That's deep. I know I hit you with some deep stuff just now. Yeah. So the whole episode, this whole thing is about stopping and smelling the roses and just enjoy life. It started raining. I got a nice camera, so I gotta finish this up. Okay, so I got a story for you. Okay, it's called, I'm gonna take this inside because I don't want this to get wet. This is a good camera. But anyway, so let me tell you this story. It's called Potato, Coffee, and Eggs. Okay, and let me fix the lighting for you. Bam, bam. There we are. There we are. All right, we're good. We'll finish it up in here. All right. So, potatoes, coffee, and eggs. Okay. Now the story is that there's a girl, and she is young. She's young, and she is very upset. She's not having a good day. She's whining. She's having a bad day. She's tripping out. And, you know, she's complaining like it's easy to do, you know, when you have a bad day. It's easy to start complaining about everything, and, you know, you get kind of negative and stuff. But, yeah, so that's what she's doing right now. So, she's throwing a fit, and she goes in, and her dad doesn't say anything. And she's talking to him, and she's like, yo, Dad, this is my day. It was so terrible. It was so bad, and all this stuff, and blah, blah, blah. But her dad didn't say anything, and he just stopped, and he turned, and he went into the kitchen, and he put 3 pots on the stove. 1 pot, another pot, another pot, and he filled them all up with water, and then turned them all on a boil. So they're all on high heat, they're all being boiled, all 3 pots, nothing in them yet, okay? And the daughter's just like, what's this guy doing? my day was so terrible, and he keeps complaining about it, you know, just like that. And so he proceeds to cook what he's doing, and he puts potatoes into the first pot, okay? And then he puts eggs into the second pot. And he puts coffee beans into the third pot, okay? Now, he lets them boil each for 20 minutes while the daughter's still, you know, doing her thing. She's I don't even know, like how you could complain for that long. Like, it's ridiculous. But she's still complaining. She's still having a bad time. And her dad stops, turns the boiler off, and takes everything out: the potatoes, the eggs, and the coffee beans. Okay. And then he's like, so what did I just do? And he's asking her what I do, and she said, she said, well, you know, you just cooked some eggs, potatoes, and coffee beans, bro. You didn't do much. And he's like, no. And he's like, what do you see? And she's like, I see eggs, potatoes, and coffee, yo. And he's like, okay. He's like, what I see is that they each underwent the same adversity. The boiling water, that was their adversity. That was the trouble. That was the problem. Okay? Each one reacted differently to the adversity, just like a person or a human being would do. Okay? So let's look at the potatoes. The potatoes went in hard and solid, straight up solid. And then they came out, and he said, touch them. And she touched them, and she was like, oh, they're soft. He's like, yeah, so the potatoes went in hard, and they came out soft. You know, so they're weak. They're weaker now. And so he goes to the eggs, and then the eggs, he's like, let's open the egg, crack the egg open. She cracks the egg open, and it's solid. It's a solid matter. It's hard. And the father noted that the egg went in vulnerable and needed to be protected by the shell. But after the same 20 minutes of boiling water that the potatoes went through, they became hard and they became tough. And the coffee beans, what they do, they changed the water. So they all underwent something, and each one had a different, a different attitude toward the thing. So what are you going to be? Who are you going to be? How are you going to do it? And I think I want to be the coffee beans, to be honest. Either that or the egg, because yeah, that's cool. You know, you go in soft, you come out on top. But this video is long enough. Sorry that it started raining. I will be talking to you more, so stay positive and persevere.